Hello, my dear. I am delighted to welcome you. I am Helga Hufflepuff. Yes. Oh, it's so nice to make your acquaintance. You can go ahead and have a seat just there. That's perfect. Are you cold at all? Alright. In that case, let's start up the fireplace, shall we? Incendio. Now, I will simply be telling you about the House of Hufflepuff and a bit about myself, simply to better acquaint you with the possibility of joining our house as a first year. Congratulations. It is quite important, as I'm sure you can imagine, to acquaint yourself with each of the house's unique values and personalities to determine which might be most suitable for you personally. Let's see, where shall I begin? I suppose you already know that our house emblem is the badger, an animal that is often far underestimated because it lives quietly until attacked and also is quite cute and cuddly. From its appearance, wouldn't you guess you could just pick one up and snuggle it, which I suppose you could, until provoked. When a badger is provoked, it can defend itself against much larger animals, even wolves. In Celtic mythology, the badger is a guide. It can also symbolize a tendency to be hardworking, strong, and tenacious. Our house colors are yellow and black, roughly representing the element of earth, yellow for wheat, and black for soil. Students sorted into our house often demonstrate exceptional abilities in herbology, possibly owing to their correspondence to earth. The fact that our secondary color is black and emblematic of soil is unlike the other three houses, all of which whose secondary colors are those of precious metals. Our house is humble, down to earth, and enduring. Our colors represent our foundations and unified strength. Although I suppose it is a bit silly to brag about being so humble now, isn't it? Students belonging to this house are known to be hardworking, friendly, loyal, honest, and also rather impartial. It may be that due to our values we are not as competitive as the other houses and are also more modest about our accomplishments. We also tend to have the least rivalry with the other houses. Slytherins preach ambition and cunning. Gryffindors embrace bravery and fearlessness. Ravenclaws prefer wit and wisdom, and Hufflepuffs favor those who are unwaveringly loyal and tremendously hardworking. You might belong in Hufflepuff, where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuff are true and unafraid of toil. Individuals sorted into Hufflepuff are often dedicated to self-improvement, although they are largely disinterested in public glory. A true Puff possesses a deep love for their friends, family, and all living things. They are selfless and gentle, tolerant and kind. We don't shoot our mouths off, but cross us at your peril. Again, much like our emblem, the badger, we will fiercely protect ourselves, our friends, and our family. Subjects involving plants or animals, like care of magical creatures or herbology, often greatly appeal to Hufflepuff students, and these students tend to have an affinity for earthly elemental magic. Is that one of your interests, perhaps? Wonderful. I am personally very passionate about herbology and cooking charms, which I would be more than happy to teach you about. In fact, if you're hungry at the moment, I would be more than happy to transport you a biscuit or perhaps some soup. No, not out of thin air exactly. You see, there are laws of magic governing what can be conjured and what can't, such as Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration, to which food is one of the 5 exceptions, but food can be summoned if one knows the approximate location and is fairly certain the food will be there. In our case, the Hogwarts kitchens, or the engorgement charm, which allows wizards to increase the food that they already have. It should also be noted that while food cannot be conjured, consumable liquids such as sauces and water can be. If you would like, I can fill you a cup of water through my wand. one for me as well. I'll come in and I'll fetch you some food from the kitchens, or if you would like to try, you're welcome to. Alright, I'll just show you. Just place your ring finger and middle finger gently against the back of the wand. Support the side with your pointer finger and the bottom with your pinky, and just gently rest your thumb on the top. Not too tight of a grip. Just a gentle twirl, twirl, tap. Twirl, twirl, tap. There you are. Give it a try. Yes, just soften the grip a bit of your thumb. And then move your pinky a bit to the left. Your pointer a bit further up. And then twist, twist, tap. Twist, twist, tap. Perfect. There you are. All the food at Hogwarts is absolutely delicious and cooked by the house elves, then magically sent through the ceiling down to the tables. The house elves we employ here are treated with utmost kindness and respect. Hogwarts is somewhat of a refuge for them. I personally very strongly believe in their rights to be treated just as fairly and respectfully as everyone else. Another very important value of our house, the others are quite selective on admittance, but I believe that everyone deserves a place. I'll teach the lot and treat them just the same. Of course, there are certain values that we encourage in our house, but anyone who is willing to study and work hard is more than welcome, and of course, regardless of parentage. Unfortunately, Salazar believes that only those from all magic families should be able to receive their education at Hogwarts. But I, Gryffindor, and Ravenclaw all warmly welcome Muggleborns into the school. We believe everyone deserves an education. Our common room, quite an enticing detail. It lies one floor below ground level on the same corridor as the kitchens. Comes in quite handy if you're ever in need of a midnight snack. Once you've found your way inside, and I can't tell you how just yet, you'll have to wait to join Hufflepuff and see. Just follow your way down the passageway and you'll emerge into the coziest common room of them all. I guarantee it. I suppose I could be a bit biased, but believe me, it is beautiful. It is cozy and earthy with low-hanging ceilings, warm sunlight streaming through the windows, beautiful view of rippling grass and dandelions. There's a lot of burnished copper about the place and many beautiful plants which either hang from the ceiling or sit on windowsills. Many wonderful and rare plants, even some that can dance or talk, which welcome the students to sit around and discuss the peculiar specimens. The great way to make friends. Our overstuffed sofas and chairs are upholstered in yellow and black, all of which are covered in handmade patchwork quilts, which are impossibly soft, and copper bed warmers should you have cold feet. You will certainly sleep very comfortably. We are protected from storms and wind down in our dormitories. We never have the disturbed nights that those in the towers sometimes experience. Yes. So, do you have any questions? Wonderful. I'm very happy to have spent some time with you, and I hope to see you again very soon. Good luck. Oh, and remember, even if you decide that Hufflepuff is not exactly the right place for you, my door is always open, and I'm always happy to teach you everything I know. Yes. Especially the food charms. You won't be disappointed.
Good evening. My name is Rowena Ravenclaw. Welcome to the Ravenclaw Tower. I see that you are walking around Hogwarts trying to determine which school, or rather which house, you would be best suited for. Is this correct? Okay. Well, in that case, let me tell you a little bit about Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw is a house meant for the eccentric, the intelligent, the creative, and the academically inclined. Unlike Slytherin, which is another house that is more intellectually inclined and cunning. We don't use our intelligence for ambitious gain. We're not very cutthroat, is basically what I'm trying to say. Unlike Slytherin, who promotes ambition, greed in a sense, and those sort of qualities can lead easily to more nefarious qualities, as is the reputation that Slytherin has, so that is how we differ. Our goal when it comes to intellectuality and academic success is more just for the personal enjoyment of learning and just knowing things. So if you like learning things and you enjoy just having that sort of background and being surrounded by knowledge and having all of these books around you at your fingertips, then the Ravenclaw might be the house best suited for you. You don't necessarily need to be a genius. You don't necessarily need to be some sort of Mensa student or anything like that, a Mensa member. And your creativity can also apply to that as well. You don't necessarily need to be just intellectually inclined with the math and sciences. If you're also a creative person and can create things out of art, or if you can, I don't know, build bronze eagle statues, then you'd be perfectly accepted into our school. Our school consists of pupils who are more readers, in a sense, and more dreamers as well, as is the case with Luna Lovegood. Hermione Granger is another example of someone who was almost accepted into Ravenclaw, but she was accepted into Gryffindor on account of her bravery and courage, and that is something that the Gryffindors obviously hold pride dear to them. So Gryffindor is more a school for the heroic or leader types. Ravenclaw is more inclined to simply strive within the academic realm. Unfortunately, we do have a few pupils who are willing to be quite cutthroat, but only within the academic realm, where they are willing to backstab one another in order to receive the best marks on, for example, the OWL exams and whatnot. But that does not necessarily mean that you also have to be one of those sort of pupils. If you would just like to join Ravenclaw for our expansive library, good companionship when it comes to the other students who are also mentally driven, it would be a best environment for someone of your own disposition. Unlike Hufflepuff, who are more driven to better themselves as people, we're more driven to better ourselves in intellectual standpoint, where the more facts we know, the more riddles we can crack, as is the example with our door. The way you gain entrance into our door is that, unlike the other doors, our door requires a riddle. You must answer a riddle, and it's not going to be anything that's quite as simple as, what is wet as it dries. It's usually a little more complicated than that. The only down point, the only drawback, I would say, when it comes to placing a riddle on your door instead of some sort of, for what everyone else has on their door, is that in the other doors, you have to be part of their house in order to get inside. When it comes to our house, we basically allow anyone who is intelligent enough to solve the riddle into our area. So Hermione Granger has also noted that it is quite easy to crack the riddle, and Professor Minerva McGonagall now, was able to gain entrance into our house just by being intelligent enough to solve the riddle. But I do believe she was another one who was almost a Ravenclaw student. What a shame. She and Hermione Granger are truly ashamed to have lost such great wizards. Yes, I do admire both of them quite fondly. But, oh well. Our colors are bronze and blue, so as you can note, even though this is more of a silver color in the movies, it's more of a silver color, but in actuality it's bronze, and it's also blue. It represents the sky and also the feathers of an eagle, which are bronze, even though that's more of a silver sort of color, but they're supposed to represent the sky, the color of the sky, since our element associated with our house is air, and also the feathers of an eagle, which is our bird, basically, or our representative animal. For the Hufflepuff house, it is a badger, For the Gryffindor house, it's a lion, and for the Slytherin house, of course, it's a snake. Especially with the whole parcel tongue thing, which I do quite find. I find speaking to snakes or any sort of animals quite interesting. I kind of wonder if one can learn how to speak to animals. That would be quite an interesting endeavor, but nonetheless, it is something that only Salazar Slytherin and his descendants can achieve, so quite a shame, but oh well. There's just certain things you have to accept when it comes to your limitations academically. One shouldn't stress themselves out too much over just schooling. It should be a healthy amount of stress to get things done, but an unhealthy amount is a stress that ends up paralyzing you from doing other things that you would like to achieve. I'm afraid that Ravenclaw students aren't aware of this idea, and so they often try and drive themselves or push themselves into striving academically without any concern for their health, and that is something that I try to dissuade, what with my time here in Gryffindor being, we founded the house, Salazar, Godric, and Helga, and I, in the year 993. So it's been over 1,000 years since the school has started up, and since then I have learned quite a bit about my students and the patterns that each class tends to have, and I find that that's something that's quite common within not just our house but also the other houses, but it's just more especially our house. But nonetheless, I try to dissuade my students and try to remind them all the time to not get so wrapped up in their own studies, basically. So, if you ever need anyone to kind of give you a sort of talking to, remind you of this fact, just to relax and maybe even bond over a poetry book or a spell book or whatnot, then you are always welcomed into my quarters as well. But, as I was saying, what was I saying before? Our library is quite intimidating, and it is something that I am quite proud of, so you are welcome to check out whatever book you'd like, as long as you are willing to take care of it and return it back in its proper place, so that way other students can also have the benefit of that education at the tips of their fingertips, or rather the information at the tips of their fingertips, which would end up leading to education. The way you enter our tower, as you already know, considering how you're here, is through a tight spiral staircase, so it is quite difficult to reach our tower, but once again, it is always worth it, considering all the benefits and coziness that you find here, especially what with the beautiful dome sky painting that we have up in the ceiling, and also what with the environment just being I feel like it's much more cozy. The ghost of our house is the Grey Lady, the ghost of my daughter Helena Ravenclaw. Helena, I'm afraid, she stole my diadem, which is something that Voldemort ended up stealing from her because he wanted to use it as a Horcrux, which he successfully used for a time being. She will be more than happy to talk to you as long as it's not on a social ground. She's more apt to talk to you about, history and spells and whatnot. Anything that she has an interest in learning at the time being, she's more than welcome to. She's more than interested in talking to you about, as long as you give her a sense of mutual understanding. She is quite shy and a bit more reserved, considering how she feels like she's kind of out of place. That was something that she suffered with when she was alive, and something that she still suffers with now that she's dead. Nonetheless, if you feel like you are someone who is a creative individual, academically inclined or intellectually inclined, or someone just a little more eccentric and special in the sense where you just have certain quirks that people don't typically respond to, but you don't mind, considering how you have your own world, you would be more than perfectly accepted within Ravenclaw.